Hello, welcome to my journey into the media world. We're back with another match preview. The Dean Smith side get no tougher challenge than this as they travel to Anfield to the Premier League champions as they take on Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. To chat about the game and preview the game, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Vinny O'Connor from Sky Sports News. Vinny, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me, as I expect you're really busy at the moment with what's going on in Merseyside at the moment and the return of football. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Delighted the football's been back for a good couple of weeks now. I'm hoping that Villa can make it that little bit more easier with getting some results, hopefully.
It's been a struggle, hasn't it? I mean, not surprising, I suppose, having come up into the Premier League. But overall, I think you've got to be happy with Dean Smith, haven't you? He's certainly done a job for you guys, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think there's mixed reviews from Dean Smith. I think with the money that we spent in the summer, there was a lot of pressure on us to do well. However, when you spend that much money and you cut corners and bring in the quality of players we did, then I think there was always going to be that element of struggle being a new Premier League side. But I believe in Smith, and I hope that he can get us out of this relegation scrap because it's so tight down there. Of course, a game that hopefully can help with that. It's going to be very tough. Is the fixture on Sunday against Liverpool? Like I say, Villa are 18th at the moment. Without playing a game, they've seemed to have gone up a place without even playing a game. So that's positive in terms of the results down at the bottom. But in terms of Liverpool, I mean, it's been a pretty spectacular season. Their results and statistics speak for themselves. What's your view on Liverpool this season?
From my point of view, watching them, it was kind of just being able to carry on from last season. I think winning the Champions League was a massive step for them. It gave them the belief that they could go on and win more trophies, getting that first major trophy under Klopp's belt. And you look what they've subsequently done as well, winning the European Super Cup, winning the World Club Championship as well, and ultimately then becoming Premier League champions. And at times it hasn't been easy for them. There was that spell earlier on in the season where late goals were getting them through games, getting them a point. I remember Adam Lallana's goal at Old Trafford against Manchester United, but you'll obviously remember a lot more clearly was the Villa game earlier this season where Villa are winning 1-0, 87th minute. Andy Robertson pots up with the equaliser, and then of course Sadio Mane takes all 3 points in stoppage time. And I looked at that game, and at the time I can remember thinking to myself, because City had the chance to close the gap to 3 points. They beat Southampton, I think, that weekend. And at one point it looks like they were going to get the gap down to 3 points, and the next thing is it's back to 6. And I thought at that time Liverpool were in with a massive chance here. It's big moments like that I think give you an indication of a team's title credentials. And that was the first point of the season where I thought Liverpool really, really got a chance here of finally getting that and ending that 30-year wait for the title. And so it's proved they've been so consistent. Obviously, there was the disappointment against Watford. They had a disappointment against Manchester City on Thursday night, which is probably understandable after the celebrations, I suppose, and not needing to go the extra mile to secure points to guarantee a title. And at some point, I suppose you're always going to have a little bit of a dip in form. But throughout the whole piece, and over the last 2 years, look at the points total: 97 points last season, and now they've won the title with 7 games to go, and it can obviously set a record points total in the Premier League. I think that just speaks volumes for how good this Liverpool side is.
Yeah, you touch on last night's result. Obviously, a 4-0 humiliation, you could call it, at the Etihad. And then also the team's current... I want to look at the team's current forms going into this fixture. I mean, looking at Aston Villa, they'll want to get back to winning ways. They've struggled to get going, really, in terms of results after the restart. But then I suppose for Liverpool, I mean, they continue to do what they were doing apart from last night. I suppose a big problem occurred last night against Manchester City. How did you see that one, and how do you think that will affect Liverpool mentality going into Sunday?
I don't think it'll affect the mentality. I mean, I think you can see from Jurgen Klopp's reaction to last night's game that he just wants to win games, and that kind of rubs off on the players. So the mentality won't change. Obviously, they'll want to go out and win. I spoke to him today, and again, he's kind of made the point that Liverpool will look to be as strong as possible. So that's obviously not such good news for Aston Villa. And looking at last night's game, I thought it was really strange because I saw Manchester City go 2-0 up, and I'm thinking, how exactly has that happened? Because Liverpool started all right, in my view. Salah had a couple of chances. There was the one where Ederson, I suppose, got a little bit lucky when Salah hit from distance and maybe could have had the opportunity to chip in, but Ederson was able to save. And there was the opportunity where Salah hit the post as well. All that was before City obviously opened the scoring. Could argue Andy Robertson wasn't necessarily at his best, but we've all seen him push out before and end up winning the ball and setting Liverpool off on a counter-attack, as it was last night. Phil Foden managed to get the better of him a couple of times, and that led to goals. And on another occasion as well, maybe Joe Gomez doesn't get penalised for the penalty, and Raheem Sterling gets penalised for pulling Joe Gomez's shirt in the first place. So I think it was marginal decisions at times, and there was fine margins at the other end, of course, when Salah had those chances. There was also that chance that Henderson set up for Sadio Mane, who just seemed to lose exactly where the ball was between his feet, and he had that opportunity in the second half. So, as I say, fine margins, I think, cost Liverpool last night. I don't think it's anything that they'll be particularly too worried about. But looking at Jurgen Klopp today, the intensity from him, you'd say it'll be a case of wanting to get back to winning ways as quickly as possible and obviously finish this season in the right way.
Yeah, so you're expecting, I mean, a lot of Villa fans were hoping that Liverpool play a weaker squad, but from my perspective, Liverpool will want to break records, and considering last night's result, I'm sure, like you'll say, they want to get back to winning ways. Where do you think this fixture ranks in terms of importance for both sides? Because for Villa, of course, like I've said, they'll want to get some points on the board, as tough as it may be. And then Liverpool are Premier League champions, but want to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Because when I was speaking about the job that Dean Smith's doing at Villa, I think it's important at this stage of the season now, because I thought it would still be a struggle for them this season. I thought it was important that going into these final few games, at least their destiny is in their own hands. They can, if they get the wins, then obviously they will keep themselves up, and they're in that position at the moment. They're not relying necessarily on other teams. When I look at what Liverpool will look to do, they want to finish in the right way. And I asked Jurgen Klopp about it, obviously about setting the points record, but then on the flip side of it is a lot of us are looking forward to seeing what some of the youngsters can do. Obviously, Villa have had experience against their youngsters this season, but we're expecting that in some ways that those young players are going to supplement Liverpool's first team squad next season. The likes of Nico Williams, who we've seen a couple of times coming on to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, the likes of Harvey Elliott, the likes of Curtis Jones, who scored against Everton in the FA Cup third round this season. So I asked him about what kind of game time we can expect from them as well. And he said, it's funny that you talk about setting records for points totals in one breath, and then the next we're talking about blooding the youngsters. And he said, look, from their perspective is they're looking to go as strong as possible, pay the competition the ultimate respect it deserves, and maintain, obviously. And the other thing that he won't want to do, well, he will possibly need to do at some point is maybe, depending on the workload, rest the likes of Sadio Mane, the likes of Mo Salah, but they don't particularly want to be rested, and he'll be guided by the sports scientists, but they won't necessarily want to be rested because they're going for the golden boot as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. As I say, we're looking to see if he can blood these youngsters a little bit more in the Premier League, but ultimately, yeah, his focus is on finishing the season as strongly as possible, getting those wins, and as I said earlier, that might not be the best of news for Aston Villa if Liverpool are bang at it on Sunday.
No, it's not what us Villa fans want to hear, for sure. I'm going to go ahead and predict my starting 11 for Aston Villa and hear your thoughts on it, and then maybe you would like to go ahead and predict the red lineup if you feel comfortable. So I'm going to go with, in goal, I'm going to go with the former Liverpool man, in fact, Pepe Reina's come back in and get his welcome back at Anfield. And I'm going to go with the back four. So first of all, the formation is a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. A back four of Courtney Horse at left back because injured. Matty Targett got injured against the Wolves game. Two centre backs of Tyrone Mings. Of course, Tyrone Mings is the main man in that defence, and then Ezri Konsa and Frederick Gilbert to come back from injury. In the holding midfield role, I'm going to go with Douglas Luiz. Been very impressive since the return of football, and then the midfield three of McGinn on left hand side, and then Jack Grealish just behind the two strikers, and then Marvelous Nakamba as your sort of defensive role, helping out Douglas Luiz. And then the two strikers, I'm gonna go for a little bit of a change for Dean Smith here. I feel like he'll look to switch up things. I'm going to go with Davies to cement his place as just one striker. And then I'm going to go with Anwar El Ghazi to play in the striker position, purely because I hear a lot of rumours in the training ground that in training, Anwar El Ghazi is the best shooter. Whenever they do shooting drills, he always comes off the best. So we're lacking goals at the moment, and we're lacking the quality in the final third. So maybe a switch up for Dean Smith in the attacking roles could help Villa. If that is the case, how do you feel Liverpool will cope with that? Because, of course, their defensive record this season with the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez has been spectacular.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Jurgen Klopp decides to do. Obviously, there's been the injury problems at centre-half with Matip and Lovren not quite right for last night against Manchester City. Fabinho dropped into centre-half when Gomez went off at half-time, and Klopp admitted last night that was a precaution because obviously Gomez was on a yellow card and there's one him serving a suspension when they haven't got too many options at centre-half at the moment. Gomez, for me, has been outstanding, and I agree with Jamie Carragher when he says that Gomez is Van Dijk's best partner in the centre of that Liverpool defence. All right, last night wasn't necessarily great against Manchester City, but you could say that about a few players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Joe Gomez start again alongside Virgil van Dijk, and your regular starters at fullback as well in Andy Robertson on left and Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right. It's been tried and trusted so far this season once again. And as I say, not a point to prove as such, but certainly the motivation to bounce back after that defeat to Manchester City. Midfield's another interesting one. Obviously, Fabinho kind of just slots in and when he's on top form, just makes that holding midfield position his own. Jordan Henderson, can't see being left out as captain. And then it's whether you go with Gini Wijnaldum or even Naby Keita once again. And again, just giving Keita that extra game time. It's been a kind of stop-start time at Liverpool for him through injury. But there's undoubted talent there. It's just like waiting for him to get that real run in the side where he can impact it on a more regular basis. And then obviously the front three picks itself. I can't see that changing. So when you're asking about whether what Liverpool will do to deal with how Villa line up, I'll flip it round and almost say what are Villa going to do?
Okay, I think that Jack Grealish has to be on top form. Over recent weeks, he's struggled to get on the ball and he's been in a very deep position. And I believe in November, I hope I've got this right, he was out injured when Liverpool came to Villa Park. So that'll be a new addition that Liverpool will have to cope with. But Jack Grealish is an unbelievable talent, and we're going to struggle to keep hold of him, in my opinion. So we just have to make sure that Jack Grealish is on form. We take our chances when we get the chances against Liverpool, and hopefully we can, get something or even just a positive performance against Liverpool, because we need something to get us going. I'm hoping an extended break can help the likes of Jack Grealish, maybe Anwar El Ghazi and the striker positions to get firing again, because of course Liverpool will have been partying over the weekend, I believe, and then obviously had the game against Manchester City. So maybe the congestion of fixtures might fatigue them, but at the same time, like we've mentioned, they'll want to bounce back. Very finally, Vinny, I just want to look at wrapping this up. Could I get an all-important score prediction from you and anything else you'd like to add about the game?
I don't know about a score prediction. I am possibly the world's worst at score predictions. But what I'd be interested to know from you, Jude, though, is whether you see, and I know that Villa have got a tough run in as well. I mean, I said before that I feel that if they can get that next win, then it really does put it into their hands, staying in the Premier League. Is that how you feel? You feel that it is in Villa's hands, albeit such a tough run-in that they've got at the moment, to get out of trouble now?
Yeah, I think that you just need that one result sometimes in the season to kickstart our season. I was hoping that was against Wolves, and that wasn't the case. Like I've said, I hope that an extended break could have helped us, and would have helped us on Sunday. And if we can get a result against Liverpool, I think it will be absolutely massive and even more spectacular against the Premier League champions. But it's going to be very, very tough. The toughest challenge, I believe, yet of Dean Smith's side. And I look at the remaining fixtures and think to myself, I struggle to see where the goals come from. But as I've alluded to, if we can, an extended break can help us, and like Savannah El Ghazi and Keenan Davis can look to, if Keenan Davis can use his physicality in Sunday's game to help bring other players into game, then that's what will have to happen. But I look at the remaining fixtures.
Obviously, Villa had not been cut adrift down there. So, and West Ham showed against Chelsea what can happen on any given day as well. So that, hopefully, from your perspective, gives Villa some hope of getting out of the trouble that they're in. Yeah,
definitely. I think, it didn't help that West Ham won on the other night against Chelsea. And I think the difference between us and West Ham at the moment is they took their chances. But if we can take our chances, then I think we will be okay. And, I've been relatively assured with the defence. I don't think that's a problem. I just need to see goals somewhere. And that, at the end of the day, as simple as it sounds, that's what's going to keep you up in the Premier League, isn't it?
Definitely.
So yeah, thank you so much, Vinny, for coming on and having a chat with me. This is a very tough fixture for Aston Villa, and like we said, Liverpool will want to break the records and not putting out weakened side. I hope that answers some of your questions, Villa fans, because that's been the topic of conversation on Twitter this week. And Vinny, thank you so much once again for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have a chat with you. I understand you're very busy at the moment, so to take your time out and chat with me, it's been a pleasure. If you did enjoy the video, guys, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new, turn on your post notifications if you haven't already, and leave your score predictions and thoughts on the game down below in the comments. Till next time, goodbye. Up the Villa.
Hit the subscribe button and follow my journey to the media world. Click the video choices on screen to see more of my work.